Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today is another Sew Along Sunday and we're starting a new Sew Along today. So today is going to be part one of B6674. I'll pop a picture of the pattern up here. Today I'm going to be talking about materials, gathering all your supplies, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to be showing you the pattern adjustments that I'm making, and then I'm making a muslin today as well, and we can talk about fit at that point too. So I think today's going to be a little bit shorter video than the other three. So this is going to be a 4-part series. I have filmed everything but the last tutorial because I'm letting the hem drop. So yeah, so this should be a 4-week series every Sunday from today through the next 3. Anyway, let's talk about this pattern. All right, so Butterick 6674, it is a dress, a fit and flare dress, basically. It's got a princess seam bodice on the front, darts on the back. You can do 2 different lengths. There's a like right at the knee and then a below the knee option, or if you're really short, the below the knee option is actually a midi option, which is what I've gone for. There's also a bag in this pattern, which I'm actually rather tempted to try at some point. But then you can also put pockets on or off. You can see the pockets this gal's got. And there's also an option for a really cute neck ruffle that actually I think would be very flattering. I don't a lot of times like ruffles up on my chest because I am bigger on the top than I am on the bottom. But this is a fairly low cut line. I mean, it's not like really low cut, but I think a ruffle would be quite, if you're wanting just a little bit more modesty, and it's just a really sweet little ruffle. I think that would be a definite, a cute little addition. And I think I'll make this one again. I'm really liking the way it's turned out so far. This pattern also comes with cup size options. So it's got an AB front, a C cup front, and a D cup front. And the way that you determine that is not how you would a bra. So a bra, you're going from your underbust. So your measurement underneath your bust, which is your band size usually, you know, like if you're a 32, 34, whatever. And then you've come up with a cup size with the difference between your underbust and your full bust. So for instance, my difference is 7 inches from my underbust to my full bust. Well, that comes up to like a F cup in bras. But on sewing patterns, it actually has you taking your measurement above your bust line and then your full bust. And that difference for me right now is like 3 inches. It can get up to 4 inches depending on weight fluctuations, but right now it's 3. Which actually technically should put me in the C cup range, but I was looking at, I really like the way the 14 fits, and I'll go through this kind of how I picked my size a little bit better in the, here in just a second, but let's talk what else about this pattern. Okay, so it's made for, let's see, fabrics are cotton blends, crepe, challis, linen, lightweight denim. So basically something with a little bit of drape. As far as lightweight, let's see, cotton blends, I guess that would be like a cotton linen blend maybe, or a cotton rayon blend. I think a cotton poly blend would be too stiff, but definitely just regular cotton would be nice. Cotton lawn, this would be excellent in a cotton lawn. Cotton lawns are lightweight cottons, but they are usually very finely woven, so they're usually not see-through. So you can get away with a very lightweight dress that you don't have to have a lot of like lining on. Now with this pattern does not call for a lining, but I am lining the bodice on this and I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. This pattern actually finishes off the neckline and the armhole with bias tape, but I'm omitting that because I'm fully lining the bodice. There is a functioning placket that goes all the way down the dress. This pattern also doesn't call for, we'll come back to fabric in just a second. It also doesn't call for interfacing, and I don't know why you wouldn't interface your button placket. That just sounds ridiculous. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit too, but I did add interfacing to my list, and then of course buttons. Okay, so fabrics, yes, your cotton lawns, your cotton poplins even. I don't know, maybe a cotton quilting cotton, if that's kind of what you're comfortable making. It'll definitely give you a much fuller skirt than the lawns or even a poplin would. But yeah, you could definitely use something like that. Anything with a rayon, tencel, modal blend would be gorgeous. So like a rayon challis. I used a rayon, I'll show you what I used in a second. But yeah, so like a rayon challis, a rayon poplin actually would be very nice. It'll just make that skirt hang a little less full. So it's kind of up to you on how full you want your skirt. Now, with the drapier fabrics, because this is a fitted bodice, I really liked putting the lining in because it gave the upper bodice just a little bit more structure, and I'll show you why here in just a second. But you can also use like mid-weight linens on this, a chambray or like a lightweight denim, so like a 4-ounce denim. So like a shirt weight denim would be gorgeous in this dress as well. It's just a very nice design. Just a very nice little summer dress. Okay, so let's talk about what I used here, and I'm trying to see. It does call for lining, but that's for the bag. It's not even for the, it's not for the dress. And the same, the interfacing's for the bag too. Okay, so, and I think, okay, so let's talk about what I chose for my fabric. So I went with this beautiful crinkle rayon. So I have ironed this fabric, so it's maybe kind of hard to tell, but there is a little bit of a crinkle texture in there, which will come right back as soon as I have washed this again. But I've done a rayon, so it's similar to like a rayon crepe or a rayon, like weight-wise, or a rayon challis, just a little bit different texture, and I really like the texture. I think it's very beautiful, and this wonderful red color. So it does have like a lot of nice drape because it is a rayon, and a lightweight rayon at that. It's a nice busy print though. I think this turned out really well for my dress. This is a scrap of it. So this is what I used for the body of my dress. Now for my lining, I actually went with a mid-weight linen. So this is leftover linens from my Cielo, my Closet Core Patterns Cielo dress that I made back in, whenever that was, March, April timeframe. I've actually bought more of this color, so this will just go in with that, the remainder. But I actually lined my bodice in a mid-weight linen just to give it a little bit more structure, since it is a fitted bodice. And rayon just has a tendency to grow and it can sag a little bit. So by lining it with something a little bit more stable, and I could have lined it with a cotton lawn or a cotton batiste if I wanted to, it would have done the same thing. So, you know, play around with any of those. It wouldn't have to be, you don't have to necessarily use linen. However, if you're making your dress in linen, you may want to do something a little lighter on the inside. You could do a cotton, or you could even do a rayon for your lining. So it just kind of depends on what you're doing. But I do like having a little bit more structure on the upper part of the dress. I just think it it holds the skirt better, because rayon can be very heavy. So, and so tinsel, modal, all that can be very heavy. So I just like that extra structured fabric does hold the skirt a little bit more firmly, and just helps keep the waist and the shaping that's in the bodice a little bit more secure. So I went with this for my lining, and it's not the same color red, but I really just, obviously, it actually kind of picks up. There's like a brownish, reddish, burgundy color in there that it kind of does mimic, so that's nice. But I just didn't want anything too stark, just in case anything peeks out at any point, which it shouldn't, but if it does, it's not gonna be like, whoa, white or whatever. So yes, that's what I chose for my lining. The pattern calls for buttons, and I'm trying to remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I bought 10, although I think view B calls for 11 buttons, which is the longer length. But I think I'll be fine with 10. It'll just stop, the buttons will just stop a little sooner. I also don't follow the buttonhole guide, so the very last week when we were putting our buttons and buttonholes in, I'll show you how I do my buttons, just to make sure that it gets the least amount of gaping. But I got these buttons specifically for this dress, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. They almost look like leather, but they're not. Can you see that at all, like the texture that's on there? So they're brown, but they kind of have a little bit of like an oxblood color to them. And there's like a little dot that goes all the way around the perimeter of the button. Yeah, I don't know that you can see that, but it almost looks like a leather button, so it's real smooth. Anyway, they look really, really good. This color looks really good against this kind of, this brown kind of color that's in there. So I think that's gonna be a really fun button down the front there. Again, I have 10, even though the longer length does call for 11. I like to live on the edge. And I'm not sure I'm gonna stick with the length that I am. So another thing to note about this pattern is the lengthen and shorten lines on the skirt are just from the hem up. So it does give you two different cut lines for the shorter length or the longer length. I just went ahead and cut the longer length because it kind of gave me a midi effect. I'm pretty sure, yeah, my hem is dropping drastically. So I am gonna have to level that out anyway. So who knows how long it'll end up being when all is said and done. So I think I'm gonna be fine with my 10 buttons, not really worried about that. Okay, and then something that I'm using that is not on the pattern is interfacing, and you can cut your own. The placket pieces that are in the dress are 1 1/4 inch wide. So I actually use, for all of my zipper insertion, I use pre-cut knit interfacing, and it is the So Keezy, I'll leave a link to it down below, tape. But it just makes it really easy. So I've interfaced my placket, and I'll show you how I do that as we go along, but I have used this. Now you can definitely cut your own out of regular interfacing, that's fine, but I would definitely recommend a layer of interfacing in there in the button placket. I just find that so weird. They're gonna put buttonholes and buttons without interfacing. Whatever. So those are the things that I have added to my list. I think that that's about it. If you have any questions about rounding up your materials and that kind of thing, definitely leave them down below. Otherwise, let's head on over to start this sew along. I'll see you next Sunday, and we'll be constructing the bodice. And then on Tuesday, what is Tuesday's video? We're still going through activewear right now. So we'll be talking about my activewear bottoms on Tuesday. I hope you guys have a wonderful end of your weekend, and I will see you all next time. Bye. Okay guys, another sew along, B6674. Okay, I've got my pieces here, but before we go into those, let's talk about picking sizes. So those out of the frame. All right, so here is our pattern right here, Butterick 6674. I'm gonna be making actually view B. Now this view looks like it comes right below the knee, but because I am short, it's gonna hit me more midi length, which is what I want. I kind of held up the pattern piece to me, and I think it's going to be at a nice little midi length. So that's what I'm going for. Obviously, length is easy to adjust, especially on a skirt like this. The length and shorten lines are actually at the hem of, either. So it makes it, pretty easy. You can hem at the end, actually, basically. Okay, so picking sizes. Now this pattern is one that comes with the cup sizes, which makes it super easy to fit the upper body if you have that issue. So it comes with an AB top, a C top, and a D top. I'm making the D. Now I'm gonna tell you how I determined that. So this may be very small. I go pick by my bust size, by my upper bust. My upper bust is 36 inches, and that's how I came to a size 14. My waist is not 28 inches. My waist is actually 32 inches, which puts me at a size 18, but my hips are right about 39 inches, 38 and a half in between there, which puts me in between a 14 and a 16. So, and this is a full skirt, so I'm not too worried about the hip being too tight. And these patterns we're going to talk about, this gives me the basic idea that yes, these are smaller than my body measurements, but I'm going to go with the 14, and then I'm going to look at the finished measurements to determine really what size I want. Now, I do know that I wear a size 14. That's what I prefer in all the big four patterns, but if you're new to this, that's kind of what I go by. So when you pull the pattern out, let's look at the front piece first here. So when I was determining, it tells you how to determine which cup size to make. This is the bodice front, and then the side bodice, which is right here. So these two will get sewn together to create the front. Now, right here at these little crosshairs on the pattern pieces, they almost always have printed on the pattern the bust, the waist, and the hip, unless it's a full skirt, which this is, so they don't have the hip measurement because it's kind of doesn't matter because it's so full. So here it gives you size 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. It gives you the finished bust measurement. So I can see here the size 14, the finished bust measurement is 41 inches. Right now my bust is measuring at 39 inches, and I like at least 2 inches of ease at the bust, so that is perfect. So that's how I know a 14 size D is going to be perfect. Now, when I look at the waist measurement, so the waist isn't on the bodice pieces, but the waist measurement is noted here on the skirt front, and it also shows you the waistline. So this will hit at the natural waist because that's the seam line coming down. So that's where your waist should hit, but it gives you the finished waist measurements. And here at a size 14, the finished waist measurement is 31 inches. My waist is currently 32 inches, and for a fit and flare dress like this, I want just 1 inch of ease at my waist, which obviously would be 33 inches. So I need 2 extra inches here, which is not uncommon for me. I've got a thicker waist in comparison to my other measurements. So what I've done is I've just added 1/2 inch on each side seam. So 1/2 inch to my front piece, 1/2 inch to my back piece, and I've graded down to nothing shortly after the notches here. And then I did the same on my side front. I added 1/2 inch to the side seam, and then also to the back, I added 1/2 inch to the side seam. So that'll give me a total of 2 inches when, because you know, you have 2 side seams on the back, 2 side seams on the front. So that's where you get your 2 inches, 1/2 inch across 4 seams. So, and then I just used my French curve, to kind of ease from because I don't want to add too much width up here because I like the way that's going to fit. So I just kind of curved to add the width right to the waist where I need it. And then everything else should line up. So those are the only adjustments I've made so far. I am going to make a muslin so that I can determine if I need to do any kind of a petite adjustment, which would be taking length up here at the top. So I'm gonna, you could make a muslin out of your lining fabric. This pattern does not call for a lining, but I'm gonna be finishing off my neck and armholes with a lining. You could use the lining pieces, and that's actually a great way to, if you think it's probably gonna be okay, just to cut out your lining and use that as a muslin, and then you already have your lining sewn and ready to go. And if it doesn't work, then you're just out that little bit of lining fabric. But with this pattern, I'm actually, my lining is not going to be the full bodice piece because I want it to get tucked into, this is a grown-on facing for the button placket. So I'm actually going to cut my lining at this line instead of at the cut line here. So it'll get folded, you know, from the fashion fabric. So that's not going to make a very good test piece. And I'm actually using linen for that. And so I'd rather not mess with that. So I'm just going to use a bed sheet. Bed sheets are fantastic. Thrifted bed sheets or old bed sheets from your closet that you're not going to use anymore are great fodder for muslins. It's one of my favorite things to use. So basically you want your bodice front, and this is the same piece for A, B cup, C cup, and D cup. It's just a different cut line down here at the bottom. So I cut at the D cup line. And then you want your corresponding side, bodice side front. I'm using the D cup on this. And then you want your bodice back piece. Again, I'm doing a 14 on all of these. And then you want your skirt front, which is right here. Your skirt back. Ooh. Your skirt back piece, which actually I do want to make a note too. This has you cutting 2 pieces for the skirt back and putting a center back seam in your skirt back. I'm going to see if I can cut this on the fold so that I don't have to have a center back seam down the back of my dress. It may be this way because it's too wide to fit on most fabrics, so we're going to see. But I am going to try and cut this out on the fold, so I'll just go in 5/8 of an inch to cut it on the fold. So that is something I am going to try just to eliminate that backside seam or back seam. You don't need it for a zipper because it's a front buttoning dress. And then you have your pocket piece. And then if you want the fabric sash, which I am going to go ahead and make, I don't know if I'll use it a lot, but I am going to go ahead and make it. You need that piece as well. This pattern also comes with an adorable little tote bag, which I think would be really fun to make at some point, but not today. Also, this comes with a really cute neck frill, like a little neck ruffle that you could do. I really want to try that, I think, at some point as well. So, we'll make this dress, and then maybe future summer dresses might have the ruffle neckline. All right, so I'm just going to go and cut out just my bodice pieces. So I will cut the front, center front, side front, and bodice piece out of the muslin fabric. And I'm going to make up, just baste together a muslin really quickly. And I'll come back and we will look at the fit and make any determinations on fitting for that. Okay, here is my bodice, and I think it looks really good. So the apex of the pattern, which is where the curve is the deepest on a princess seam, is right at my apex, which is fantastic. I've actually, you can tell I've pinned it together like this, and you know, for the button it would be overlapping. It's just easier to pin by pinching it together. So I pinched it to where my center fronts match, and when everything is pulled down where it's supposed to be, I mean, it fits really well. Yeah, I don't think I have any gaping at all. And then I still have, you know, room in the waist to breathe, with hopefully not any gaping. I don't think I need a petite adjustment on this one. The armholes, now I will have a 5/8 of an inch shaved off because once the, you know, lining and the bodice get sewn together, that will happen. But yeah, I don't think it's too long in here at all. I think if it were too long, my apexes would be down a little bit. And it could be that my large chest is just filling that area, that extra area there. But I don't feel like my armholes are too low. You know, once that gets sewn 5/8 of an inch. Let me see here. I think that's still going to be fine there. I have a little bit of extra length in the back, but to be honest, I think I'm just going to be fine with it. It's not bad. And I think because rayon is so heavy that that's going to get, you know, pretty weighted down when all is said and done. So, yeah, I think that as far as a fitted bodice for a fit and then the flare, I think we're pretty good to go. So, yeah. Yeah, that is, I got some puckering. That's just because I was sewing it post-haste. But anyway, and it's going to be kind of a va-va-voom. I mean, not really, but 5/8 of an inch down, it's going to be kind of a fun little sexy summer dress here. So yeah, I am not going to do anything else to the pattern. I just did that 1/2 inch that I added on each of the side seams to give myself the extra 2 inches. And I think we're good to go. So let's go get this fabric all cut out.